Are you concerned with all of this new technology coming into the marketplace? And are you thinking about how can I stand out as a designer? Well, in this channel, I'm going to share with you some key things that you need to pay attention to and the 5 key areas that all designers need to watch out for when it comes on to how you can stand out. And I'm going to give you some practical things that you can do to help you stand out right now, to help you earn more and get the job that you want. So let's go. Hi guys, my name is Leif Wallace, and on this channel, I share advice, tools, and motivation to help you become a better designer. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. So let's go into it. The key things I want to share with you around how you can actually get better really comes down to these 5 core areas that I found in this article from trends.uxdesign.cc. And they spoke about the 5 characteristics of what we call late stage UX, which is quite interesting. And I want to share it from my perspective. And the first thing they spoke about was automation. Second thing, saturation. Third thing, commoditisation. And the fourth thing, financialisation. Fifth thing was disintegration. So let's go into the first thing. And that was around automation. AI, which increases on our jobs, is reducing the demand for designers in certain markets. And because of tools like Canva, Photoshop, things like Squarespace, and tools like Wix that are used in web design, these tools are making it easier for non-designers to be able to leverage good design or decent design to be able to complete their tasks. So how do you stand out as a designer in a time when AI has become more prevalent, more people are aware of it? Now, I've been thinking about this quite deeply, and there's some key things that you want to make sure that you're doing as a designer. I saw this tweet by a guy called Jordan Singer, and he said the rise of the design engineer. So one thing I want to speak about, especially for the designers who are quite technical, to learn the skill of engineering, leveraging AI to help you alongside engineering tasks will by default make you more valuable in the marketplace. You can actually leverage AI to learn things like Java, CSS, HTML, that will help you to become a better designer. For example, me learning Webflow helped me to learn HTML, CSS, even though Webflow is a low-code tool, which is quite interesting, right? So this is why you can start to use the tools that we use as designers to learn the skills that traditionally we never potentially needed to learn, but have to learn to be more valuable going forward in a marketplace where AI is everywhere and good design has fundamentally been commoditized. Another key thing you want to pay attention to as a designer is to make sure that you're leveraging tools that help you to communicate with your clients much easier. So a tool like Dribbble has allowed you to freely communicate with potential clients, and having a strong portfolio on a platform like Dribbble, while at the same time there's something called the Dribbleization of design, but just from a standard like logistically structurally standpoint to like get your content on there that showcases the work that you do, sending those links to potential clients and just really showcasing what you can do, and being able to DM inside the platform is a fantastic way to just lessen the friction between the people that you want to speak to. I would also advise that designers, you have to learn the skill of lead generation to be able to generate leads for yourself to allow people to reach out to you. So an example of that is by me creating a video like this, where I'm leveraging my YouTube channel, and then in my description box below, I'll have links to free courses for designers. I'll have links to book a call with me if people want to actually speak to me directly about how they might want to improve their website or product, for example. So those are the key things that I'm talking about, how you can leverage, social platforms to generate leads to help you be able to earn money for yourself as well. Another key thing you have to be mindful of as a designer is that you got to be data-driven, more strategic, impact-focused, business-focused, have marketing knowledge as well. All of these key things add to your skill set as a designer to allow you to be able to stand out. So if I go to my second point, which is around saturation, because there's such a supply of design in the market that can be very uncertain, many designers are finding it hard to get jobs. And the reason why is because the marketplace is asking for specific design roles. So they're asking for product designers, web designers. And when designers are going inside of the workplace or working with businesses, the requirement is not just for a straight product designer or straight web designer. I saw this tweet by Jess Rosenberg, where she said, I've seen recently that there's more of a demand for design generalists lately, especially among startups, someone who can do it all extremely well. Dan responds by saying, as I've said before, design journalists is what everyone wants. It is in a major demand, and you can get hired because you can design a website or a product. You get raises and keep your job because you can do more and become irreplaceable. I actually agree with what these guys are saying here, that the rise of the multidisciplinary designer, your ability to think strategically as a designer and go beyond just what you're executing on from Figma or Webflow or whichever tool you're using, I think is becoming more and more prevalent. I kind of understood this very early on in my career because I had good mentors, but I want to just advise many, especially the younger designers, that you have to learn more skills than just design, that you have to learn marketing, you have to learn some form of engineering like HTML, CSS, or at least be able to use your AI tools to be able to help equip you to understand some key challenges that a front-end engineer might be having as you're working with them. All of these really help you to become a better designer. And the focus here is for you to add more strings to your bow as a designer as you grow, so that your core skill of design is still strong and remains strong, but you become multidisciplinary by adding the other skills that are beneficial to an organization and equipping yourself with the marketing jargon, the business jargon that people above you use, so that you understand what they're talking about. Things like customer acquisition costs, lifetime value, OKRs, objectives and key results, etc. All of these business language. And if you want me to do a video on it, just let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to do that. But this business jargon is really essential for you to learn as you go into bigger and bigger organizations, from the independent sole entrepreneur that might get you to work with them on their small project, to a much larger corporation where you are one designer in a much bigger team, but you do speak to people at different layers of the organization as well. Now, the key thing I'm sharing here is the fact that the next thing that's happening with design is what we call commoditization. I touched on it earlier where I spoke about the fact that your ability to access good design is in fundamentally more locations. So more people can access different tools to access web design, photoshopping with AI. You've got Canva with AI. You can even publish from Canva to a website now, so it's even quicker to get websites online, and there's even much more tools on the marketplace to get websites up and running much faster. So the ability for people to take something from idea to launch to sell is in a matter of days, if not hours. So you can basically move quite quickly now to get things out into the marketplace. So as a result, what it's doing is commoditizing design, meaning that your design is becoming more standardized, it's becoming scalable so businesses can move faster. And differentiation and delight is not as commonplace because of the needs of businesses. Now, the way that I've seen to actually help you with this as a designer is to make sure that you are speaking to the people who speak to the customers, if you're B2B focused especially, or you are the designer leading the charge to have more conversations with customers. Because the deeper you understand the customer problem is the more you'll have the ability to find areas of delight and differentiation when it comes onto the solutions that you provide and the solutions that you're suggesting to the people that you work with inside of an organization. So the focus here is to make sure that as a designer, you are the person who finds the time to make sure that you speak to customers and note it down, and you're sharing it in more places inside of an organization. This is not also an easy task. It's not always an easier task, but you can speak to customer sales, you can speak to customer success, you can speak to the revenue team. Anyone that actually liaises and speaks to customers needs to become your best friends inside of an organization. All right. The next point that this article raised was something called financialisation. So it's like greater emphasis on financial health and stakeholders' interest and business metrics. So like I mentioned, customer acquisition costs, LTV, understanding the power of a funnel and how funnels work, understanding things like NPS scores, for example, and how those work and how we can make improvements on these as UX designers. How can we impact the full customer experience, the end-to-end customer experience, not just on the UX on the product that we're working on, but the full customer experience, because customer experience involves finance, it involves sales, it involves product, but it also involves customer success and so on and so forth. So it involves customer experience involves more people within the organization, whereas as a product designer, the user experience is what you're focused on for the product. But even as a designer, you're focused on user experience, but your user experience can also be impacted by other people in the organization, especially those who speak to customers on a regular basis. You want to get their feedback as quickly and as often as possible in regards to the tasks and the things that you're working on, especially the work that you're doing as a designer. So you're creating new features, get some feedback as quickly as possible, and make sure that becomes a standard in the way that you approach what you're working on as well. Now, another thing you can do is make sure that for the next piece, the fifth point here is what they call disintegration. So this is a lack of trust in digital products. If I'm honest with you, it was quite hard to think about, all right, how do you differentiate yourself where there's a lack of trust in the marketplace? Now, I think there's a lack of trust because people have been oversaturated when it comes onto their time online, the amount of products they use. We're on our phones. Like, the amount of time that we're up is the amount of time that we're on our phones. So as a result, it means that like we're just overly, like there's just so much that we're doing online, and people are like, oh, I want to do something different, or I want to go into nature, etc. So people want to spend less time on their phones. Even your YouTube app is giving you a little pop-up that says you spent too much time online. Do you want to take a break? Right? I think Netflix does it as well. So it's the idea of like people want to spend less time. We don't trust these organizations because we know everyone just wants to make money. And Google even wrote an article where they spoke about the 7-Eleven formula, that you need like 7 hours of content, 11 touch points just to be able to make a sale. So it's showing that people want to see more of real people versus they want to just be marketed to by a business. And the kind of challenge that a brand / marketing team have is how to make a brand feel like a real person or to feel quite personable. It's really difficult. So as a designer working inside of a business, these are some challenges that you need to start thinking about. And the way you do that is by speaking more with the actual real customer or people that speak to the customers inside the organization. That helps you stand out as you work inside of the org. And if you work with startups, you work with like sole entrepreneurs, you're working with smaller companies, your ability to take charge of that process and create systems around how you speak to customers will not only help you stand out, but allow you to be able to speak more confidently to people who make more business decisions than you do, so that you can stand out as a designer. So I say all of this to say, yes, there's new technology coming and it's coming quite quickly, but I don't want you to feel like there is not a way for us to overcome or to find ways to create opportunities for ourselves. I simply believe that we're moving into this new era, which we call the era of the design entrepreneur. This is my personal belief, which is where creative business people who use their skill set can start to use their skill set to start earning for themselves in multiple different ways. And I think that like design maybe 5-10 years ago was moving into a place where like that specialist was like really highlighted and pinpointed. And I think what's happening now is that we're moving into an era where designers have to become not only more entrepreneurial, but more multidisciplinary, like I said here, multidisciplinary in their approach to be able to create opportunities for themselves and to create bigger impact in the companies and with the people that they work with as well. So I want to do all this to say, right now in the comments, I want you to let me know what's the number one thing that stood out for you today, the number one thing that stood out for you today. And if you have some challenges, let's start the discussion below. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to my website at www.leifwallace.com. I actually have a free course on my website, so you can go into the description box below to access the free course, or you can go to leifwallace.com and you'll see at the top it says free course, and then you can, if you're a designer, you're interested, check on that free course and hopefully it'll be helpful to you as well. And if you want to DM me, just DM me at Leif Wallace on Instagram, and I'll happily start a conversation with you. If you want to speak more about design and any challenges that you're having, I'll happily see what I can help with. I share my insights and hopefully it will be helpful to you. So I share this from my heart, just hopefully that it helps someone today. And if you'd love to know more, please just reach out to me and get in touch as well. So look after yourself and look after your families. and take care. And hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.